One of the complaints that I hear most often is that people get nervous as they write the exam. So this is the number one thing that I hear. Raman, I am horrible at writing exams. I don't know what to do. I just forget everything and it's a disaster. So in this video, we'll take a look at what to do so that you reduce that anxiety as you're writing the exam. It does get stressful. It gets stressful for me too. I hate writing exams. And this is one of the reasons I started these videos or the whole business actually, because I hate writing exams, but you have to pass the exam to be successful. So in this video, we'll take a look at what to do on the day of the exam while you're writing the exam so that you are successful coming out of that exam and you have a reason to celebrate. So let's dive in.
Let's take a look at managing your stress on the day of the exam. First thing, make sure to arrive well rested. You do want to get a good night's sleep the night before you write your exam. It doesn't matter whether you write your exam in the morning or the afternoon, but make sure you are well rested and you're not doing stressful stuff before the exam. So as you start your exam or before you start your exam, make sure you read all the instructions carefully. They will tell you exactly what to do. So make sure you read the instructions carefully. Now, you do have 3 hours to write the exam, which is plenty of time. Doesn't matter which exam you're writing, even if you're writing the commercial exam or the mortgage exam, the practice of mortgage brokerage exam, which have calculations, there is no need to rush. 3 hours is plenty of time, regardless the number of questions that are on the exam. So if you understand your concepts properly, you will be able to write the exam and you will have plenty of time to spare. So please do not feel like you have to rush through the exam as you are writing it. A lot of people do get anxiety as they're writing the exam. I am one of those people. So in order to manage the anxiety as you're writing the exam, there are a few things to keep in mind. When you feel like you don't know the question or the concept, sometimes my brain just goes blank. What you want to do is close your eyes and take a deep breath. Now, because you'll be writing the exam at the exam center, there is nothing to worry about in terms of camera or closing your eyes or looking anywhere. You are able to take that breath. Make sure you just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and just relax. And then look at the question again. You are able to skip questions as well. We'll get to that. But make sure anytime you feel stress in the exam, you're allowed to take a break. You can go for a bathroom break. You can drink some water. Make sure you use some of these tips to just calm yourself down. This is not the end of the world. So just take a deep breath and then refocus on the exam. It's very important to stay hydrated as you are writing your exam, especially when you have anxiety or you're feeling stress. Make sure you take a bottle of water with you in the exam center, or you can excuse yourself and go to the bathroom or get a bottle of water and make sure you drink. But however you do it, make sure you do drink some water during the exam. You don't want to be sitting through 3 hours and get totally dehydrated. Now, it is a 3-hour exam, which is a long time. Although it doesn't feel like a long time when you're writing the exam, but it is a long time. And as you're sitting down, just make sure you relax your shoulders. You're not hunching forward because that will cause stress on your shoulders and make your shoulders tighten. So just push your shoulders back, take a deep breath and stretch if you need to, because you don't want to be sitting in the same position for a long period of time. It'll just cause all your muscle to stress up as well. So just make sure you are nice and loose and relaxed during the exam. And that would mean stretching a little bit during the exam. Make sure you do that. It is totally okay to do that. Nobody's there, they're judging you. So just make sure you put your hands above your head and you do a little bit of stretching in the middle of the exam. It is totally fine. It will actually help you focus more on the exam. As you're writing your exam, when you come across a question that you don't know, you want to apply the process of elimination. So usually I have seen that there will be 2 questions that are completely incorrect. So look at the options and take off the 2 that feel wrong. And then you may have a couple of those options left, and one of them may be correct from those. So in that case, just again, continue applying the process of elimination, or if you just don't know, take a guess, right? There is no negative marking on the exam, which means you will not lose marks for getting the answer wrong. So it is in our best interest to just guess something instead of leaving it out. So better to just guess and get the answer correct than leave it and get it wrong, get a 0 for that. No negative marking, so don't worry about that. And if you don't know the question, so don't spend too much time on it. Many times I've seen people will spend 10 minutes on a question, or they're just trying to figure the answer out. If you don't know a question, if you just really don't know a question, and even after the process of elimination, just skip it. Now, when you are writing exam, on the right-hand side, you will see all the questions, and the questions will change color. So basically, it will turn from a light color to a darker color, so light blue or gray to a dark blue when you have answered the question. So the questions that are not answered will be in a lighter shade. So you can go back to that question. So you don't have to go through all the questions again. You'll just be able to pick that particular question that you skipped. So it's okay to skip the question. Sometimes what happens is, as you're answering a different question in the exam, you will find the answer to the first question. So feel free to skip the question. You can always go back to it. And then at the end, when you are done with the exam, before you submit it, make sure you do a final review. Now, if you're one of those people who will go back and change answers, I have seen people where I do this as well. When I go review my exam, I actually tend to change my answer. So usually the first instinct is the correct one. So don't go around and change all the answers, but have a look at your answers and review, see if anything you have missed. You need to answer some of the questions. You are allowed to go backwards and forward in the exam. So make sure you take time to review questions, just look through it, but don't go totally crazy with changing all the answers. So if you feel like you're doing too much of that, it's time to stop and maybe submit the exam, or just slow down and really think about whether you need to change the answer or not. And last thing to keep in mind, put the exam in perspective. This is just one exam, right? This is not your entire life. Even if you don't do well on this one exam, it is not the end of the world. You do have 2 attempts to write the exam to get it right. And if you don't, you just have to pay for it again. Again, it is not the end of the world. You can do this. And of course, we are here to help. If you need any extra help in preparing for the exam, we are here. But please keep in mind that this is not the end of the world. This is not the most important thing in your life. So keep that in mind. It's just an exam and you will be able to get through it. So let's recap. A few things to keep in mind during the exam. So first thing is, make sure you are well rested before you go to write your exam. And then make sure you read all the instructions carefully before you get started. Don't rush through the exam. Take your time. Manage the exam anxiety. If you're feeling anxiety, take a deep breath, just close your eyes and breathe. Make sure you have water with you so that you do have that time to refocus again. Stay hydrated. You don't want to sit through a 3-hour exam without any water. So you do want to make sure you have a water bottle with you, because it will help you focus more on your exam. And because it's such a bit long exam, you want to make sure that you take a break. You are allowed to go use the bathroom during the exam, or just stretch. Even if you're sitting in your chair, just stretch your arms and make sure you roll your shoulders so you're not feeling really suffocated. As you go through the exam, if you come across a question that you don't understand, make sure you apply the process of elimination. Usually 2 answers are completely wrong. You can just toss them out and just pick the one, or if you just don't know, just guess, because there's no negative marking. It's better to attempt the question and get it right than to get a 0 on the question. And of course, you're allowed to skip questions. If something is just not working, move on to the next question. You don't want to waste too much time on few questions and then you don't have enough time left in the end. So you can always come back to those questions. If it's taking more than a couple minutes, skip it and then come back to it. And of course, do a final review at the very end. But a caveat here, if you find yourself changing too many answers, that's usually not a good thing. I've seen too many people go back and go crazy with changing answers. Don't do that. I've done that. Don't do that. It's not a good thing. So go through it, look at it objectively, and see if anything needs to be adjusted. If you find yourself changing answers, then just move on and submit the exam. And the very last thing, this is just an exam. It is not the end of the world. If you don't get it the first time, you will be able to get it the next time around. So don't sweat it. It's just an exam. All right, so that's it for today. If you would like some help in preparing for your Alberta real estate exams, I invite you to visit www.albertarealestateschool.com, or you can give us a call at 587-936-7779.